Underwriting support for this program is provided by the Eureka Teachers Association's School Board Liaison, Philip Middlemiss. Thank you.
Okay, so we're reconvening open session. And Wendy Davis, Board Clerk, report out in closed session.
Okay, on item C1, there's no action to report. Items C2 and C3 were not discussed, and item C4, no action to report.
And so we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. And Hank, would you introduce? Sure.
Ready? Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And our only item on the agenda is G5, Revised Local Agency Plan, for 2012-15. I guess, Rick, you're taking it away.
Okay, yes. So with my somewhat weakened voice, I'll be able to answer any of your questions. And before we get going, I do want to guide you a little bit through the process again. With the advent of No Child Left Behind, all districts throughout the entire country were required to develop such a thing called a local educational agency plan, LEA plan. This came in California, I think in 2002 or maybe 2003 was the first year that we had to write our very first LEA plan using this same template. The requirement by the state of California for schools that are in program improvement year 3 is that we revise the entire LEA plan. And so we have attempted to do that, responding to all of the same prompts that were provided a number of years ago. And literally, I am going to just respond to your questions. Hopefully you've had time to look through it. The overview material that I provided last time gave an outline of the major sections, and there are 5 major goals. The first goal is all students will be proficient in reading and mathematics. The second goal is English learners will acquire proficiency in English, and they will be proficient in reading and math as well. Goal 3, all students will be taught by highly qualified teachers, and there's 2 components to that. One component has dropped away now, which was that all teachers will meet highly qualified requirements, and all teachers in the state now must meet highly qualified teacher requirements, or we don't employ them, or when they do come on board, we get them into training right away. The other piece of that highly qualified teacher provision is ongoing professional development. Goal 4 is all students will learn in a safe school environment, conducive to learning. Goal 5 is all students will graduate from high school. There are some additional sections that relate to Title I. There are some Title I requirements that we have to describe how we're meeting the needs of students that are eligible for Title I. There are requirements for meeting the needs of English learners. There's another section on that. There's a requirement for providing activities related to promoting safe schools for learning. So at this point, I would ask your consideration for adoption of the revised local educational agency plan. However, it is not necessary that we do that tonight. If we still have a number of questions, if there's a little more changes that need to be made, we can make those changes, and then we can come back at a later time for final adoption at a later date. But that's the direction where we want to go, is to answer your questions, make the changes that are needed so that we can actually adopt this plan.
When does it actually have to be adopted?
So the original time frame that the state gave us is that we had to submit a draft in March.
Yeah.
We met their timeline, and then they were going to provide us with feedback by the end of March, so that we could adopt the plan incorporating the state's feedback in April. They have not yet provided us with the feedback. And so I'm not in a hurry to adopt the plan.
Okay.
So
There is no set date, in other words, yet.
there was originally, but
Yeah,
I
but not
but I
now.
would be I would be uncomfortable
Yeah.
pushing to adopt it to meet
Mm-hmm.
that date if we have not yet heard from the state.
Do we know why we haven't heard from the state by their own deadline?
Too busy.
No.
Too many other things going on.
They're busy.
And then what we submitted to the state was before the changes that are on here, right?
That's right.
So do we have to resubmit with the changes, or we just we're just waiting for their feedback?
Well, it's both. I really want to see what their feedback is, because if there are major changes that they want us to make, then I want to make those and then bring that back to the board. If there are minor changes, then we can just move forward. The other piece of that is, in the board packet tonight are copies of the language arts, reading language arts action plan with my handwritten notes for changes. And there's a copy of the math action plan with my handwritten notes for recommended changes. Those changes were brought about because after submitting it to the state, then I continued to get input from curriculum committee and from cabinet and from principals. So what my strategy is next is to hear from the state, incorporate whatever changes they require, and incorporate the changes that are presented to you tonight. If you approve of those changes, I will incorporate those into the plan as well.
So I just have one on page 5. The change that you have written in, splitting Title I 67%, Title III 33% on the instructional coach.
Page 5 of this one.
Page 5 of the one that came in the packet.
One that came in the
Yes,
packet.
yes, with his writing on it.
Well, the handwritten number, page 5 at the bottom
Yes,
right.
yes, it's bottom left, actually.
Page 30 of 149.
The question I had was just, is the change there that's not gonna be coming out of site funds? It's gonna
That's
be coming
correct.
out of district, from the district?
District Title I will pay 2/3, Title III will pay 1/3, yes.
Okay. And then I think I noticed later there was some instructional coaches that would be trained by staff that would be coming out of site funds.
Where did you find
Which I
that?
remember us talking about that in curriculum, so- and I was glad to see those changes were made. Because I remember that was a big, something that the group was really interested in.
One of the discussions I had with a group of principals, when we looked at the overall plan and how, excuse me, and how we thought we would pay for all the activity, is principals wanted a commitment to PBIS, because I had shown that as a split between sites and district. So in moving that to 100% district, it was explained to me that there's a lot of these activities that are consistent with what the sites want to do at their level anyway, and that they could pick up many of these costs in the plan. So that was one of those changes. I think that's, and it was a very ambitious plan. As it was sent to the state, excuse me, it was extremely ambitious. And I would think that the state would send me back a note saying, you're crazy, you're not going to do all this. Because when we started attaching dollar figures to these things and calculating how much money do we actually have in order to do these things, we realized we can't do it all. And so one of the priorities of the curriculum committee was a coach for mathematics. Actually, the way I understand it, to hire 4 instructional coaches, certificated people, and not necessarily full-time, secondary math, secondary language arts, elementary math, elementary language arts, and we had to scale that down considerably in order to make everything fit.
We also are not planning on doing the summer academy. We've changed it to something that is more within the school year. Is that what I read?
The summer academy this year is scaled down from what it was last year. We are still doing a summer academy this summer. And as this plan stands and the budget that I've developed to implement this plan, we will not have funds for summer academy in 2013.
So, and then going back to that, so by putting the PBIS dollars in to the district, then the sites should have more dollars that they can use if they want to hire their own instructional coaches at a site level.
That's right.
And then what is it that is taking the place of the dollars that were spent on a summer academy? Where are those dollars being shifted to? That we can't have that's not a possibility.
Well, it's not a matter of that they're being shifted to anything in particular. It's a matter of
Decreased carryover.
it's a matter decreased carryover. Yeah, is a significant piece of that. We were hoping that we would use some of the current year money to pay for Summer Academy 2012, leaving a very intact funding stream for 12-13 and then the summer of 13. But our expenditures have been greater than anticipated in the current year, so we don't have the funds available for Summer Academy out of the current year. We're having to use next year's money for Summer Academy 2012, which then, of course, decreases the amount of money overall in 12-13. It's just pushing costs forward. We were hoping to pay for Summer Academy this year with current year money, but we can't do that. So we're going to have to bear that cost next year.
Unless we use general fund money.
That's an option. It's not one that I'm proposing. We have adequate funds for Summer Academy in 2012 with next year's money and with the grant, because we're also getting a $150,000 grant to implement this plan and these changes.
I'm not quite sure I know what it is you want us to do. You've submitted the plan to the state, and the state has not come back to you with their list of changes. But you made some changes to the plan that you already submitted to the state, and you just want us to say okay, or give you our feedback saying... Yes,
I would like your feedback. I'd like to get a sense of how are you feeling about my proposed changes that are shown in handwriting. I want to get a sense of that. I want to get a sense of other pieces of the LEA plan. Section 2 on English learners, each of the sections, if there's anything there that you have concerns about, I want to address those. My original plan was to ask you for adoption today. But I'm not going to do that because I have not yet heard from the state.
Okay.
But I do want to get any concerns you may have. I do want to get your feedback.
So when we decided to have this meeting and we called this special meeting, it was under the assumption you would have that information and then we would actually be adopting this. So now it's just informational question answering time.
So when you get feedback from the state, will we need to have another special meeting to then adopt the plan, or maybe it will fit into or is that the next step?
I don't think a special meeting would be necessary. I'm not anticipating they would ask us to make major changes that would require a lot of conversation. I absolutely, yes, will share with you any of the state's concerns or feedback that they have. But I will, because we're not adopting the plan tonight, I will come back at another date and ask for your adoption of the plan at another date.
So basically what this did was to give us an opportunity with your changes to see where you kind of whittled it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And which I think is very helpful, so that when the time comes to adopt it, we don't have to go through this whole thing again unless they have a ton of major changes, which, as you say, you doubt very much they will. Hopefully we'll hear from them. Maybe we won't.
Well, I have a question on things that are shifted to site funds from here on page 31 of 149, so I don't know where it is in this book, but in the packet papers, it was page 6.
Right, which is page 31 of 149.
So it still has presenter fees and travel costs for summer academy. And instead of Title I set aside, it's shifted to site funds in your handwriting in the proposed changes.
Yeah, I see that.
So I'm wondering, in this, these would have to be approved through the site council prior to us being able to, works the other way around?
The part that is crossed out is the $7,000 fees and travel costs for summer academy. That relates to training. So one of the other.
I'm sorry, that one's been crossed out completely.
Yeah, one of
the one
other
below
issues
it.
is that these columns don't exactly line up perfectly.
Okay, so this one goes
So
to.
the one that is site funds is $6,525, which would be hourly rate for teachers to work on Common Core, California Common Core standards.
So those have already been allocated. That's what you're saying. The sites have already allocated those funds for that.
No, they have not. No. So I also need to explain that the LEA plan is very much like a school plan. It's a very broad guide. That means these are the activities that we need to do or want to do, and we have funding sources identified for some or most. But any one year, we don't have to do all of them. And so what it means is that as we get more funds, we will be able to refer to this plan and implement when more funds come in. It does not direct us, it does not tie us to having to do that. So that the one where we show $6,525 site funds instead of district Title I set aside, it really depends upon the activities that get generated. It depends upon the interest. It depends upon the choices at the school level.
Okay.
Questions, comments? Okay. I guess we're okay with your changes.
Nope, I have 2 more questions, sorry. Forgot my tabs. Page, what am I on? 9 of 149. It's under tab. It's not under a tab. It's right here.
What was it, page 10?
9 of.
It says 9 of 149, but it's in the first section of the binder.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, so the check marks are the things that we're participating in. My understanding in that we're not participating in the safe and drug-free schools and communities, or that's Title IV, Title V, Part A, innovative programs. Were these because we chose not to when we submitted our Lori's shaking her head already.
The Title IV, yeah, we don't get Title IV funding anymore. That's not,
By
that's why-
choice?
No, it's not available. They're not providing those funds.
So these aren't our options, these are,
The X's mean, those are the funds that we receive.
okay.
And for example, toward the top, Title I Part C migrant ed, we don't receive those funds. There are migrant ed funds available elsewhere. We don't have enough migrant students to generate our own funding stream to come into our district. Title I Part D neglected, we don't receive those funds either.
Okay.
So the X's just show us the funding streams available to
That
us.
we're eligible for.
I get it.
Everything we're eligible for, we go in and grab.
Well, at one point there was some, and I can't even remember what the conversation was, but some types of grants that we didn't apply for because it cost in matching and what we would have to do and the hoops we would have to jump through, it costs us more money to operate and to receive those funds than, and I thought it had to do with these, but maybe I was wrong.
That's true in some of them, but as Lori said, if we're not getting the funds, we're not eligible for them.
And you answered that question already. That was it.
Rich, is West Ed the group that came in and worked with Zane?
Yes.
That girl that, whatever her name was, that worked with them in the library? Remember they
Yeah,
had
I wasn't here then, but I
Oh,
know that
okay.
West Ed did work with Zane staff,
Right.
worked on some methods of working with English
Okay,
learners.
so wherever we're talking about them, we're still working with them in some areas.
Yeah, they're a very, very large organization,
Yeah.
and they've got a lot of staff and a lot of programs, and we're able to take advantage of one of them coming up this year, working with the elementary language arts,
That's good.
moving into implementing the Common Core standards. And I think that's going to be real exciting and really powerful professional development program.
Well, I sat in on a number of the ones that they had with Zane, and all of the teachers were there, and they were exceptionally good. So if it's the same group, then I would assume that we're lucky to be able to take advantage of that.
Okay,
Which of these binders do you want back?
The one that you didn't already have, the one that appeared on your table tonight, I would like to have back.
Oh, the one that we have,
The one that appeared
No,
tonight.
we already took
The
These
one
were
without the
extra-
sticky notes.
These were extra copies that was going to make available to the audience.
You've got another binder.
Oh,
someone already took it.
Yeah, I
The
did.
original one and not the one that I was given tonight.
you took mine that I was given tonight.
Okay.
This is my one from home that I've written in.
If anybody has the copy with Susan's notes, we'll trade you.
No one?
Wait, this is
Yeah, that's mine.
that's yours.
All right.
Brain there.
So,
So I will inform members of the board as soon as I hear from the State Department of Education with their feedback about our plan, so that we can incorporate that into the final version, and the final version will come back to the board at a later date.
thank you. And no need for another closed session, so we are adjourned.
That's got to be a record. That has got to be a record.
It's a special meeting, so.
The state threw a monkey wrench.
That it took two, that
I'm good. How are you?
He goes, if she thinks she's around, I want you to get in your car. I'm like, no, but do you want me to convey? He goes, yes, please. That was good.
Thank you. Enjoy your guys' circle jerk.
So were you told you couldn't let your children play?
Yeah, gave me a ticket to boot. I don't know what. I've